As you can see, the F1 Journey roller coaster has moved to Monza for the Italian Grand Prix, but we're going to take ourselves back a little bit. Police have officially confirmed that Noah James blackmailed Mason Wood into stealing the team data. Noah James forced Mason Wood to execute their plans to hijack the team data. Now, where has this all come from if you are new? Well, back at the start of the season, Noah James and Mason Wood were seen exchanging data between each other via a briefcase in the paddock, and this looked a little bit suspicious. Nobody knew that there was any data inside, they were just exchanging briefcases. Then later on in the season, Noah James and Mason Wood were part of a plan to break into Ford's team factory and steal data from Ford. And then a couple of weeks later, some data from Red Bull was also taken. Now, eventually, Noah James and Mason Wood were both sacked for stealing the data. And of course, police conducted an investigation into this. And straight away now, the police have released these statements stating that both Noah James and Mason Wood have admitted that Noah James blackmailed Mason Wood into taking part in this event. But where the stories start to get twisted is with both of their personal statements after this, and it's all to do with money. Now, Noah James has claimed that Mason Wood owed him money, but decided rather than making him pay it back, he would get him to help in their data stealing plans and call it even. Now, this is a little bit different to what Mason Wood is saying. Mason Wood is saying that due to his mum being critically ill in hospital, Noah James, as a gift, decided to send Mason Wood some money to help fund the treatment. But he specifically said this was a gift and that there was no form of contact, which meant you needed to give this back later down the line. He was told it was a gift. So now it's about trying to find out, did Mason Wood actually owe Noah James money for something completely different, or did Mason Wood actually get given this money as a gift? We'll have to wait and see later down the line. But here is a little bit of an update of what's been happening with the former drivers of Noah James and Mason Wood. Taking a look at the race news then heading into the Italian Grand Prix, teams were actually limited on running due to a wet Friday, meaning that all they had was Saturday morning's FP3 to get any form of data. And from that, Ferrari looked strong on one lap pace, with Tom topping the timesheet in FP3. Mercedes and Red Bull are set to struggle here at the Temple of Speed because unfortunately their engines don't produce that much speed. Red Bull especially. Of course, we know that they're parting ways with BMW at the end of the season, and it's expecting to be a rough ride for them. Reese is confident that he can go ahead and get a good result for McLaren. Of course, Reese did DNF from the previous Grand Prix in Azerbaijan due to an engine failure, but he's hoping this time around fortune can change. Teams are still expecting Jaguar to have the pace though. Of course, at the last round of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Jaguar did bring across a big engine upgrade to their car, and obviously here at Monza, this is where you need the power the most, and this is where they should be as effective as ever. But we'll find out. It's time for the Italian Grand Prix. Hey, how's it going, guys? It is Foxydude here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the F1 Journey for you guys today here on the channel. We're here for round number 14 of the season. It is the Italian Grand Prix in front of the Tifosi home crowd here for this race. If you haven't joined today's episode, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well. Now, as we get into the Grand Prix, finally, as I've been tweeted a few times, there is a brand new mod on Race Department which does allow you to change driver and team names very easily. Now, initially, it wasn't working for me, but luckily, in a new update for the mod, I was able to find out what the issue was. So, we're actually going to have names. So you can see there in the top of the screen, we have gone fastest. And as you can see, we've got Sam, Ocon, Ilott, and then Russell down there in P3. So it's really, really awesome. And I'm glad to bring it to you guys. I have actually already recorded the Italian, Brazilian, and Japanese Grand Prix. I only had one race left to record, but I've gone ahead and deleted every race that I've done, and so I'm back starting from scratch once again, just to give you guys this mod, basically. But as you can see, we're currently second on the grid. Reese is currently on provisional pole, so we're going to try and beat his qualifying lap here, so about a tenth of a second up as we go through the Curva Grande here on our final attempt now to set a benchmark in flying lap as the fastest first sector of anybody so far, breaking around about 75 to 60 meters into the chicane there, gaining a lot of time, 3 tenths of a second now as we go through in towards the Lesmo for the first time here. Very nice run from there. Now towards the second Lesmo, drop the car into 5th gear, upshifting to 6th, very close to the gravel. Then if we got onto that gravel, we probably would have lost the rear end of the car then and gone straight into the barriers as we now make our way up in towards the Ascari chicane. Probably the quickest section on the circuit for me, and it is nailed to perfection. DRS open, and we're 0.6 of a second up here. We're looking to try and beat a 1:10.7. We've set a 1:10.8, and we're 6.5, nearly 7 tenths up now on our previous best lap. We round the final corner. Beautiful exit off of there. We're about 0.8 of a second up, and that's going to be enough to smash pole position for the Italian Grand Prix. A really, really great effort, and with that, we're just going to get straight into the race. We have just got 4 rounds left of the F1 Journey season number 7. This is round number 14 for the Italian Grand Prix, and there are still 5 drivers that are in with a shout of winning the Formula 1 World Drivers' Championship. But here for the Italian Grand Prix, it is a dry and hot sunny day here at Monza, the Temple of Speed. And as you can see by the track map here, you are not shy of getting any overtakes in. You've got plenty of opportunities either into the first chicane, through the Curva Grande into the second chicane, down towards Ascari, and even in towards Parabolica. But we know a lot of drivers will try and hold back on that as they will then get overtaken on the pit straight. We've got the soft, medium, and the hard compound tyres. Don't expect to see anyone on the wet compound tyres unless they're completely stupid. And as you can see, in terms of the predicted pit stop strategies, we have got either the soft to the hards, or we can go soft to the mediums. So we're going to be interesting to see what drivers choose what strategy. Looking then at the grid itself then for this race, obviously we are on pole position ahead of Reese, alongside of us then in second place for McLaren. Lando Norris qualifies in third place ahead of Charles Leclerc, who has qualified in P4 for Audi. Next up is Sam in 5th place for Jaguar ahead of Daniel Ricciardo in P6 for the McLaren. Carlos Sainz lines up in 7th place ahead of George Russell, who is in 8th for Audi. And then lining up 9th and 10th is Valtteri Bottas in the Renault, a great qualifying session from him, with Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes-Benz alongside. Sebastian Vettel lines up P11 for Mercedes ahead of Esteban Ocon in P12. Looks like a Mercedes v Renault battle. Sergio Perez is 13th ahead of Nico Hulkenberg, lining up in 14th place with Nick de Vries in P15. Stoffel Van Dorn, the highest performing Red Bull, all the way down in P16. Pierre Gasly and Callum Ilott share their road together in the Fords, 17th and 18th place for them. And then it's Pascal Wehrlein and Yuki Tsunoda that round off the grid for the 14th round of the F1 Journey Season 7. So here we are on the grid to start the Italian Grand Prix. Then we've got 2 stops, or 2 strategies, sorry, that we could do. For soft to medium and then soft to hard tyres. We're going to go over the soft to the mediums here. As you can see, we're going to get underway then with 5 red lights here for the Italian Grand Prix. Here we go, it's lights out and away we go. It's a good start from us then off the line there. Reese getting a decent start, but on the secondary phase of that start, we've got a much better run from him now as we go in towards the chicane here for the first time now. Going in towards the chicane, we've been hit round by Reese. We're going backwards now into the chicane. Reese carries on into the lead of the Grand Prix. We're going to have to spin ourselves around. We've dropped to the back of the field here, and that's an awful, awful start to this Italian Grand Prix. We're at the back of the grid now in this race, and we're going to have to try and fight our way up. So let's go and have a look then at what just happened here. So as the 5 lights go out now, we get a very, very good start. It was initially equal, but as soon as we got that wheel spin phase out of the way, we had a much stronger run in towards turn 1. As we fly towards turn 1 now, let's have a look here. Reese goes very late there in towards turn 1, and surprisingly, he's actually not picked up any damage from that. I didn't pick up any either, but as you can see, that's what it looked like from that perspective. We're going to go on board now with Reese. So as you can see, we get a brilliant start, and we're ahead by quite some distance now. As we headed towards the first chicane, let's see how close Reese was to making this overtake stick. We were already turning by then. Reese has completely messed up his braking point, and he has sent us into a spin, and we're backwards now. And that means we've got work to do. Reese conveniently sets the fastest lap of the race then, so he sets a 15.8 as we now go onto the start-finish straight here. And you know when I said BMW don't have a good power unit and Red Bull have departed them? This is why. Here is Yuki Tsunoda, and we're saying goodbye to Yuki Tsunoda because that Red Bull is just dreadful in a straight line. As we go around the outside here of Pascal Wehrlein, it was a very ambitious move that actually outbroke myself. I had no intentions of attacking Wehrlein there. Wehrlein was on the back of Van Dorn, but that's someone that I wasn't anticipating overtaking. But further up the front now, you can see there, Reese building a gap out front. So that contact has certainly not put him in any form of problems now. As you can see that Charles Leclerc here is now attacking Lando Norris and the Jaguar. Of course, Jaguar favourites to win this Grand Prix thanks to their engine upgrades. But it seems that Jaguar not quite on the front foot here. It's Leclerc that's on the front foot. Norris, though, holds on to the position against Charles Leclerc. Sam drops himself in behind. Ricciardo is next. And then it's Russell. And then my teammate Carlos Sainz is in the back of this little top team scrap, as you want to say now. You can see just absolutely flying through there. Leclerc now getting onto the back of Lando Norris here. Let's see what he can do. Goes towards the inside line now, in towards the Parabolica. Leclerc down the inside. Norris will have the outside line, have the upper hand on the exit. But as you can see now, Leclerc gets a much better exit, and that's going to allow him to blast on through. Now, DRS should be enabled on this lap. No, it's not enabled, so we're probably on lap 3 now of this Grand Prix here. Norris now tucks back into the slipstream for Leclerc. Leclerc now has to defend against 2 Jaguars here, as Sam now tries to make a move on Lando Norris in behind. Leclerc gets through the chicane cleanly. As for Norris and Sam, it looks like Norris is just going to stay ahead. So Lando staying in front of his teammate for the time being, but Sam, I know, is going to be desperate to try and get through. If he's got any chances of trying to compete in this Formula 1 World Drivers' Championship, he needs to have a good result. And at the moment, with me all the way far down as I am, he's in a good position to do that. Lap 2 of the Grand Prix, though, from our perspective, Reese once again setting the fastest lap now of this race, as we're now trying to get onto the back here of Stoffel Vandoorne and also the Porsche Pascal Wehrlein. Vandoorne we can dispatch with quite easily. There we go. See you later. Now we're going to see if we can get onto the back of Pascal Wehrlein as quick as we possibly can. We're going to have a look for a move now down the inside on Wehrlein, but we're just a little bit too far back, and we're not going to go for the move there. Unless I was Reese, then I would have gone for the move because, yeah, it would result in me benefiting. But we're not Reese. So as you can see then, we're going to press onwards now. And meanwhile, the 2 Jaguars are going to go at it now. DRS has been enabled. Norris under pressure from Sam as they go in towards Ascari. Let's see what Sam can do. Down the inside. Now he's going to have to hold it around the outside in the second phase of Ascari. Clip the apex down the final piece. Loses that a little bit of time, but he's still going to have DRS down this back straight now. As you can see, we've got a whole bunch of cars that are interested in this. Ricciardo, Norris is all involved in this, as well as Sainz and Russell are all involved in this scrap. Leclerc pulling away now as Sam gets ahead of Lando Norris. Let's see if Sam's got DRS though on this next straight. He doesn't. It's Norris that's going to get it though. So Sam now going to be under pressure on the start-finish straight. Ricciardo now fancies a run here, but he's going to lose out because he's boxed in now between the 2 Jaguar cars and into the first corner. You can see there, Sam gets through. Norris now has to scrap away with Daniel Ricciardo, and Sam is now off into the distance in 3rd place. Let's see now if he can try and catch up, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's dropped Norris, so it looks like Lando struggling for a bit of pace in these stages of the Grand Prix now. Ricciardo fancies a run at Lando Norris now as they go towards the Parabolica. Braking nice and late, round the outside goes Daniel Ricciardo. That's a lovely move from Daniel there, just absolutely beautiful, and he can blast onwards down this race, but Norris should get reverse DRS now on the pit straight, and that'll put Ricciardo under a heap of pressure, and it does so. George Russell side by side here with Lando Norris. Ricciardo is going to cover the inside line. He's going to block off an attempt from George Russell, leave Lando Norris to have a run at him meanwhile, but on the exit of the chicane, Ricciardo should be alright there. Clever driving from Daniel Ricciardo to keep himself ahead there in all of that. Lap 4 of the Grand Prix now, back on board with ourselves here. We're still down in 18th place. We can't quite make the progress that we want. Of course, it's a slipstream DRS train, so if we're going to actually close up onto the cars when we're not within a second of them, we have to physically be quicker in the corners. Sam there setting the fastest lap of the race on a 1:12.3. Now onto the back the start-finish straight here. Let's see if we can try and get past Pascal Wehrlein and Pierre Gasly, who are right in front of us now. Wehrlein go for an attack here on Gasly. Gasly doesn't have DRS on this straight. He goes to the inside line. We'll go to the outside line here. Get round the outside of Pierre Gasly. He locks up though into the back of Pascal Wehrlein. We also go way too deep into the chicane, but we get out in front of Pierre Gasly. But crucially, we've lost a lot of time to Pascal Wehrlein in front of us, which is not good. But we'll see if we can try and catch him back up. Tyre wear not looking too bad. Engine temps though are on the verge of blowing up as we now go on to the end of lap 5 to start lap 6. We're back in DRS range now of Pascal Wehrlein here in the fight for 16th place now. So let's see if we can try and get onto the back of him. He's not going to have DRS this time around. We will have DRS on this pitch straight here. And as you can see, he's going to go to the inside line. We'll go to the outside line, but this time making sure that we get our braking point right. Squeeze him tight onto the apex, and that's us up into 16th place now. But still a lot of work to be done. We now need to close the gap to Callum Eilert, who's 2.7 seconds clear, and there's a massive DRS train. So we're going to have to make up all the time in the corners and just accept the fate. We're not going to be able to close on a straight. But here we go now. The battle for second place here. Charles Leclerc versus Sam Williams now down the straight towards Ascari. Breestead just up ahead, leading the way as they now go through in towards Ascari. It's a very tight mixture there. This is going to go very similar to Lando Norris's move. Sam holds it nicely on the exit of Ascari. He's got the DRS now down towards Parabolica. Of course, 3 DRS zones here at Monza. We've got 1 on the run towards Ascari, 1 down towards Parabolica, and then 1 on the pit straight here. So we've got lots of chances for overtaking now as George Russell goes side by side with Daniel Ricciardo as Russell gets past Lando Norris and all that. Let's see if Russell has got DRS on the pit straight. He does, so that's going to cost Ricciardo a lot of time now. Sainz fancies a run here. Let's see what Sainz can do. Goes to the inside line. Ricciardo blocks him off though. Now Lando Norris is going to go for it in towards chicane. He locks up though. Ricciardo around the outside here. Daniel Ricciardo stays in position, and he unfortunately though does drop down to 6th place. I think that is now lap 8 of the Grand Prix here. We've got a yellow flag up ahead, and it's for Valtteri Bottas in the Renault then. He is out of this Italian Grand Prix. I know it says Daniel Ricciardo at the top. The name mod doesn't change if someone DNFs from a Grand Prix. It is what it is. But unfortunately for Bottas, his race is run and done. He will not be participating anymore. But as you can see, just as we were going through on lap 8 there, we were about 1.1 seconds behind, I think it was Callum Ilott that we were chasing. So we're getting there, but it is taking time. Leclerc locks up into Parabolica. Sam smells a little bit of an opportunity to get past him. Probably also smells some burning rubber at the same time as we now go onto the pit straight here. And Sam is going to open up that DRS, fly down the straight here, and try and make a move here on Charles Leclerc as they break hard into turn 1 and turns 2. Sam now going around the outside here of Charles Leclerc, and that is job done. He has moved up into 2nd place now. But crucially, the more that Sam and Leclerc keep fighting each other, the easier the race is becoming for Reese up front, because here's Leclerc once again now trying to attack Sam. There's Reese going into the Parabolica. He's going to like this. That's a nice little dummy there from Charles Leclerc to try and get down the inside of Sam into Parabolica instead as they swoop round Parabolica onto the start-finish straight. You can see there, like I said, Reese, he's just going to say, fine, you keep on scrapping. It's just going to allow me to pull away, especially if they go side by side in towards turns 1 and 2. Let's see if they do that now. No, Leclerc has got the high ground here, but there's nearly a 4 abreast moment then going in towards turn 1. Ricciardo really struggling, and he locks up the front right side there, and he's going to have a big flat spot on that one now, and he's through, and he maintains position then in P4, I believe that is. Lando Norris is P5, and then we've got Russell 6th, Sainz 7th, and I think that's Vettel in 8th place then. So good race so far from Sebastian. Lap 9 of the Grand Prix now, and we've finally caught up to the back of this massive train, which is being run by Daniel Ricciardo. So we're now right back into the box seat. That's a little bit late on the brakes there, but we're back in business now. We can get onto the back of these cars. What we do need to be concerned about is obviously it is a DRS train, so everyone's going to have DRS in front of us, and that's exactly what Callum Ilott's got here now. So Ilott with that DRS, but he's moved out of the slipstream of Pascal Wehrlein, and I'm going to say to that, thank you very much, and we're going to go around the outside of Callum Ilott, make that move stick, and we're now up into 15th, 13th place in this Grand Prix. I thought it was a little bit lower than that. I think some drivers might have made a pit stop already. It is lap 9, start lap 10. Yeah, I think so. Well, there we go. Then they've all made their pit stops. Sam now, as you can see here, though, is once again fancying a run on Charles Leclerc. He's not going to go for it, though, in towards Parabolica. He's going to play it safe and wait for the pit straight, which is probably a wise move, actually. Just go for it on the pit straight, and as you can see now, he is going to open up the DRS here and blast through towards Charles Leclerc now, go towards the outside line and towards turn 1. Of course, Reese at this stage, I think, has pitted for a set of the hard compound tyres. So this is a fight for the lead now, but they really don't want to be doing this here, cost themselves time, because those hard tyres do take longer to warm up, and the soft tyres, even when worn, can benefit you, but Leclerc stays ahead of Sam then in the battle for 2nd place in a net position, theoretically. Lap 10 of the Grand Prix, and for me, we're coming into the pits now and getting onto a set of the medium compound tyres. Crucially, a whole heap of the train that was led by Daniel Ricciardo stayed out. So we've actually going to try and get a massive undercut here, and we need to have the best outlap possible, and that's not going to help us there, having Sergio Perez directly in front of us, but we'll have to make do with Sergio in front. He's going to be a little bit further ahead, actually, so hopefully we don't get held up by him if we catch him later on the lap. But this lap now is absolutely critical for our race in terms of getting back in the mix with the top guns. You can see Reese there is 10.1 seconds ahead of us, so that's the gap that we're looking for. Reese 10 seconds clear. We're on the medium compound tyres. It's not a difficult shout. The gap's down to 9.8. We've set the fastest middle sector of anybody so far. Now going towards Parabolica, we've just caught up to Sergio Perez. Stoffel Vandoorne is ahead. He's not pitted yet. In fact, he is now just coming into the pits here. But let's get past Sergio Perez and see who's coming into the pits and who's coming out now. DRS enabled. There comes the train then coming out of the pits. So we've got 1 car. We've got 2 cars. We've got 3 cars then. We've managed to overtake Hamilton. We've got Nick De Vries. And we've also got Esteban Ocon. Now all of a sudden we see ourselves on the back of Carlos Sainz here, who was technically in 7th place. So we're now in a net P8 after that undercut move. which is a beautiful sign for us now. We're right back in the mix here with the front runners now. Lap 12 of the Grand Prix, and it still says that we're in P12, but there's a lot of drivers you can see that are in the pits now for their one and only stop here. Sainz is trying to attack George Russell ahead. I'm trying to use all of my battery and overtake mode and to try and make sure that Sainz does the same. Because if you attack an AI and you use all of your engine modes, the AI in front of you will use all their engine modes. And I'm trying to do that so that Sainz can get onto the back of Russell and get past him here. Vettel gets out of the pits then. Also, someone else is out of the pits there. Lando Norris is just in front of us now. We're really in the mix now in this Italian Grand Prix, but we need to get past some drivers here. And unfortunately, we're not going to get it. We get a great run on the exit of the chicane there in terms of fighting Carlos Sainz. Now to recover Grande. Sainz has been dispatched with. He's out of the way. Now in towards the chicane here. Let's see what we can do against Russell. Russell defends the inside line. We'll go around the outside. It's a double overtake then on Russell and also Carlos Sainz there. We're up now into 6th place in this Grand Prix. It's a mega comeback drive from us so far, and we're 1.6 seconds behind Lando Norris in the Jaguar, so we need to press on with him now as we make our pursuit of Lando Norris. Carlos Sainz now is trying to attack George Russell in the Audi car, and let's see if he can try and make that stick now. Going to go to the outside line of Parabolica, and that's a lovely move actually, fair play. He's absolutely done it beautifully, but the problem is now George Russell is going to get DRS on this next straight, and that is going to put him in fine fettle to make this move now on Carlos Sainz. Let's see if he can do so. DRS enabled. He's going to go to the outside line. Sainz will show him the outside line. He will not give him the inside line into the chicane as they go now down towards the first chicane. Let's see what happens. Sainz will have the outside line. Brilliant defensive maneuver. He stays in front. Lovely bit of move there. As you can see now, we've got Lando Norris here versus Daniel Ricciardo, and Norris says goodbye to Daniel Ricciardo and is blast past him as we go in towards Parabolica. You can see that we're slowly but surely closing in on these two. Lap 17 now. We have caught up to the pair of them now. It looks like the top three are just a little bit too far away for us to make any form of inroads onto there, but there are still 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix as we now get a little bit wide there on the exit of the corner. Now going towards the Lesmo for the 17th time in this Grand Prix. Now going in towards Lesmo too. We've got DRS on this section, but we've lost the rear end of the car. We've gone straight into the barriers after the exit of the second Lesmo. It's a literal reminiscent of what Lewis Hamilton did back in 2009, but let's go back on board here. We go in towards the first Lesmo corner, absolutely fine through there. Now we're going to go towards Lesmo number 2, and as we go through, we go a little bit wide, and we've just caught a wheel into the gravel trap, and we've gone spewing into the barriers, and that is our race run and done. After such a brilliant comeback drive, we've thrown it all away by going just a little bit wide on the exit, but it's Reese that comes out on top for McLaren. He has won the Italian Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc takes second place with Sam in third, but that is absolute heartbreak, not only for us, but for the Tifosi as well. They were probably extremely happy. We were making such a great fight back, and we've thrown it away with a very clumsy move, and that is how racing is. It can be cruel to you sometimes, but as you can see, Reese managed to win the Grand Prix by just 1/10 of a second over Charles Leclerc. Sam finishes in third place, 1.2 seconds back. Carlos Sainz had some great race pace towards the end after he retired. He managed to pass Norris and Ricciardo and finish in P4. Vettel finishes in 7th for Mercedes, ahead of George Russell in the Audi in 8th place. Lewis Hamilton crosses the line in 9th, and then it is Nico Hülkenberg rounding up the top 10, finishing 17 seconds back. What's annoying, we did get the fastest lap of the race as well, so we would have had the extra bonus point, but of course, there are no points awarded for the fastest lap if you are outside of the top 10. So unfortunately, that bonus point is, well, it doesn't go to anyone actually, so there we go. Looking at the second half of the table now, you can see that Ocon finishes 11th place ahead of Nick de Vries in P12. Callum Ilott 13th for Ford. Sergio Perez is 14th, ahead of Pierre Gasly in the second Ford. Then it's Pascal Wehrlein in the Porsche, ahead of Yuki Tsunoda and Stoffel Van Dorn. Ourselves, unfortunately, we have DNF'd from this Grand Prix. Same with Valtteri Bottas. And of course, like I said, we did pick up the fastest lap. It was 1 minute 12.811, which I got whilst trying to pursue the Jaguar of Norris and the McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo. Moving on into the Drivers' Championship now, and thanks to our DNF here at the Italian Grand Prix, the championship just got even closer. We are still on 197 points and still do lead the Formula 1 World Drivers' Championship. However, Charles Leclerc is now moved to second in the championship, but he is just 6 points back with 3 races to go. And one of those races is the Japanese Grand Prix, where I am going to have a nightmare because it's just so difficult for me and the AI is already overpowered. So this championship is going to go to the wire. Daniel Ricciardo is third in the championship with 187 points. He's only 10 points now off the top step. Reese is fourth in the championship and he's on 177 points and has actually put himself right back into contention. He's only 20 points behind. In the last race at Baku, I managed to win the Grand Prix and Reese DNF'd, meaning that I got a 25-point buffer against him. But here in Italy, I've now DNF'd and Reese has taken the win, so he's put himself right back to where we were a couple of races ago. Sam is the man that is slightly on a knife edge. He is on 144 points, meaning he is 53 points behind in the championship. At the Brazilian Grand Prix, if Sam does not outscore me by only 3 points, Sam will no longer be in the Drivers' Championship running. So at the moment, Sam is a real outsider for the championship. But Jaguar have brought upgrades and he might be able to challenge us there and then. He just has to outscore us by 3 in order to keep the championship alive. Lando Norris is definitely out of championship contention. He is on 103 points and can no longer fight for the championship. Lewis Hamilton is 7th in the championship with 89 points. My teammate Carlos Sainz is catching him though. He is on 81 points. George Russell is 9th for Audi. He is on 68 points. And then Valtteri Bottas still stays 10th in the championship for Renault on 36 points. The next event is the Formula 1 Brazilian Grand Prix. Let's go look at the Constructors' Championship now, and McLaren still lead the way with 364 points to their name. Ferrari are next with 278 points, just clear of Audi, who are on 259 points, and then Jaguar are 4th with 247 points. Mercedes are on 123 points. Red Bull and Renault are both tied on 38 points. Porsche have got 34 points. Ford have got 32, and then Aston Martin have 12. But there it is, guys. That is it for the F1 Italian Grand Prix. Let's get straight into the F1 Journey Notebook and find out how all the teams and drivers reacted after that Italian Grand Prix. Taking a look then at the post-race notebook for the Italian Grand Prix, Reese claimed victory despite contact with Tom at the start of the race into turn 1, leaving Tom going backwards. Tom's fight back was denied after a heavy crash at the second Lesmo corner. Tom had managed to fight his way back to P6, but as he was chasing Ricciardo and Lando Norris, he lost the rear end on the second Lesmo and went straight into the barriers. Carlos Sainz was happy to fight back to P4 in the Grand Prix. Sainz was expected to struggle with the top teams, but he managed to really get in there and get a good result. Ferrari claimed that Tom suffered damage to the rear of his car, which was the result of the crash. Tom was suffering with a little bit of understeer and some problems with the rear stability, and Ferrari claimed that the damage caused by that Turn 1 accident left him in that situation. Thomas hit out at Reese for the crash at the start of the race, stating that it was 100% Reese's fault and that he had the line into Turn 1 and Reese should not have even thought about trying to go for it there. But he did, and it caused the crash. But there we go then, guys. That is it for this round of the F1 Journey, the Italian Grand Prix. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, drop it a like, subscribe if you're new to it as well. We've got 3 more races to go. There are just 20 points covering the top 4 in the Drivers' Championship as we go into the Brazilian Grand Prix. Peace.